Welcome back to Real Estate Economics Weekly Webinar Series. This week we're addressing the Las Vegas, Nevada MSA. In our previous sections we've evaluated employment, building permits, median price trends over time. In this section, part 3 of 3, we'd like to bring that together for some conclusions and to look at our 5-year forecast. This particular table shows housing demand and supply patterns going back to the year 2000. As we mentioned in the previous section, supply tends to grow pretty slowly in this and almost all markets, even though this area has some available land. There's many periods of time when the supply has not been able to keep up with job growth. It's only in the recession in the past couple of years when the employment base was damaged tremendously that we've reached this high state of oversupply, caused really by employment losses as opposed to production of a lot of new housing. As you can see in this table, for the year 2010, we view the market as being almost 10% overbuilt. The supply of housing is nearly 78,000 units, too large for the employment base. But over time, the employment will gradually stabilize, then recover, albeit too slowly, and the employment base will grow back into the size of the housing stock. We also addressed permits in an earlier section, calling out that permits will be very low over the forecast period, not adding to too much supply. At the same time, jobs will grow and will gradually reduce our overbuilt condition, reduce our oversupply of homes, and bring these two conditions, supply and demand, back into equilibrium. Let's look at the over and under valuation patterns. As you recall, in the previous section, we showed the complete disconnect between what household incomes were capable of affording in this particular market area and home prices that took place during the subprime era. You can see really the apex of this overvaluation took place in 2006 when the market was, by our calculation, about 44% overvalued. The equilibrium home price in this market, again calculated based on median household incomes and mortgage interest rates in this market, could support a home value of about $176,890, and median home prices at the time were over $300,000. Now that's obviously begun to unwind, and part of that unwinding has taken place because of declining mortgage interest rates. As the government stepped in to support the financial system, stepped in to support the housing market, mortgage interest rates have plummeted and have just reached historic lows in the past couple of weeks, and that has helped make the average mortgage cost, you can see in the center of the chart here, come all the way down to only about $7,000 a year on the median home price of $139,000. So homes are tremendously affordable in this market, tremendously undervalued, and that will gradually help people move back into the housing market as employment conditions repair themselves and the employment base builds over time. Now, if you recall, we have an forecast for higher interest rates over the forecast period. That effectively makes the annual mortgage costs increase. So even though we have median household incomes increasing gradually in this market area, the equilibrium home price will decline. We talked in the last section about how higher rates would keep a lid on price appreciation in the market. This is how those mechanisms work. As interest rates climb, it takes more and more mortgage payment to support the same house price value, and ultimately rates will climb fast enough in our forecast so that equilibrium home prices will come down in the forecast period. You can see that in the table on the left hand side. We started about 222,000 for 2011, and that number degrades slightly in sync with higher rates. Now at the same time, we think the employment situation firms up, and gradually the undervaluation in this market mitigates, shrinks, and equilibrium comes back into play about the end of 2015 or 2016. So where does that really leave us? in terms of this market area. We know that supply is very low. Housing construction's at an all-time low. There's fewer lenders making fewer loans. We know that a severe price overcorrection has taken place and that affordability is at an all-time high. We've also talked about how that tremendous level of affordability isn't really being acted on by buyers in the market because we have poor employment conditions, poor consumer sentiment, tighter underwriting standards. But over time, as the employment cleans up, the financial system heals itself, there'll be greater mortgage availability, and that tremendous overcorrection on price will gradually be mitigated. We've also talked about what an important part mature buyers will be in this next cycle. We also believe that mobile buyers, people have been more or less locked down to their house. If you are still in your house, you've been locked down to that house and haven't really been able to move around that much and take advantage of opportunities, employment opportunities in other markets. That's one of the downsides to the tremendous increase we saw in home ownership nationally that went from the low 60% figure up almost to 70%. The flip side of that coin, if you will, is that people aren't as mobile as they used to be. They're not as mobile when job opportunities present themselves, and they're not as mobile when employment crises occur. And mobility would be a huge positive factor. Now, as people lose their homes, unfortunately, and as conditions deteriorate, they become more motivated and gradually move around to a greater degree. People coming out of college, the younger buyers, we are tremendously mobile, and we think they will prefer to remain mobile their first few years out of school until they're convinced that they're in the right career in the right location and can set down roots. Distressed inventory remains serious, obviously, and the resolution's not accelerating. We've certainly seen that in the current mortgage foreclosure market documentation situation. This is very rapidly developing, but what we're afraid is going to happen here, concerned that will happen here, is if foreclosures recede from the market and are subject to a moratorium or any sort of slowdown, that's going to affect the median prices in this market over the next few months. Now, since those foreclosures are the very lowest price transactions in the market, the conventional resales and short sales will take a larger market share and give the impression that prices are increasing when really it will just be a change in the mix of sales going into the averages. We'll have to watch that very, very carefully because it's likely to be followed by an accelerating period of foreclosures thereafter, which will have the opposite effect. Now, we would expect that most of these mortgage holders are going to figure out in fairly short order which foreclosures have the proper paper trail, and they will be able to move on those without too much delay, but it may take an extended period of time to rebuild the paper trail on some of the RMBS and collateralized mortgages that are out there. For this and other reasons, we believe that distressed inventory doesn't make that good of alternative for many owner-occupants. We've stated in the past that if you're a interested buyer and you look at a neighborhood, do you really want to go into a market where some of the neighbors might be under duress and are getting ready to move out or short sell their homes? And when they short sell at 10 or 20 or even 30% below the prevailing values, you've just lost on your brand new purchase and your new investment. For that reason, we think that new homes, if they're appropriately priced, play a very important role in the market because buyers can go there without that same fear. People will have qualified for new loans, everyone will be on an equal footing, and even with a small price premium, the new home may be a vastly preferable outlet for owner-occupant demand. Last, all these issues talk to bank capital adequacy. We know that nationally and internationally, banks have been undercapitalized, and these tremendous efforts by the Federal Reserve to control interest rates and to assist the housing market have all been targeted at bank capital adequacy. Now to have this mortgage foreclosure situation arise is just another pothole in the road, if you will. How this plays out, we're going to have to watch very carefully. but the inability to debt service your RMBS portfolios, that sort of thing, the net present value of those is probably even less than it was before this mortgage foreclosure problem raised its head. We know that the feds have allowed the banks tremendous latitude in the valuing their RMBS on their portfolios, but we don't think this can go on forever, and it's just another pressure on capital levels. Just a quick review on what we do here. Many of the things you've seen today are from our National Opportunity Risk Report. We provide that on many areas across the nation. Look at our website. If there's an area that you're interested in that you do not see, we can usually create that for you with about a week or two lead time. The coverage is pretty good. We cover way more than the largest 50 MSAs, and so you can dig down to a much smaller area still on an MSA basis. We have national real estate consulting services, and some of the things we do: asset valuation. We find many owners and prospective buyers are interested in price trends, so we'll look at anywhere from 1 to 5 or 6 years and make forecasts of appreciation and depreciation. If you want to bring a property to market 3 or 4 years out, we can help you with that. One of our specialties is asset value optimization, and in that process we'll take a vacant land or even an existing or partially completed asset and rework the product, rework the mix, change it around so that we can bring much higher asset values to the ownership. It's often amazing to us that you can take an existing program, make some changes to it, make some refinements to the densities and to the price ranges, drastically improve the absorption, improve the market coverage, improve the price coverage, and get 10, 20, 30, even 50% increase in the underlying value of that asset. I think there's tremendous market need for that. And we do work out, build out strategies and market entry prices I just talked to. If you have any questions today about what you've seen or heard, please call me. I'm John Mulville. I can be reached at 949-502-5151, extension 102. I'm always happy to field your questions or any areas of particular interest. This is our team at Real Estate Economics. Mark Babb is the principal and founder. Please catch Mark's ongoing series on the top 10 residential markets in Southern California. That's ongoing right now. As I mentioned, you can find those on YouTube, so if you haven't seen the first two, those are available for your viewing at any time, and there's a new one being presented today and one more next week. I'm John again. Please call me if you need me. Judy Duell is our Director of Sales and Marketing. We have many of these reports and research pieces are available on our website. Judy handles the subscriptions for those, and if you are a subscriber and want to get the biggest use, most effective use out of our products here, please call Sandy Rivera. She can help you really maximize the value of our tools. One of the things that's not widely known is that our consulting group is the largest user of these tools, and so we've developed many subtle uses of these, and there's many little nuances that can be unlocked to help you get more value out of our product, and we are more than happy to share that and more than happy to work with you on unlocking their true, full, and complete potential. I thank you again for joining our Las Vegas webinar, and as I mentioned, check our website for upcoming webinars and events.